Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your stack of sources, articles, memos, research, and distill it into the absolute essential knowledge you need.
Consider this your fast track to insight.
And today, we have a fascinating and, frankly, a deeply disturbing set of materials to get through.
We really do. We're dissecting a single calendar year that saw the wizarding world at its most frivolous and its most exposed all at the same time.
So what's our mission with this deep dive?
The mission is to really analyze the convergence of these massive public spectacles, think international sporting events, ancient school competitions.
All the shashy stuff.
Exactly. All the things designed to grab your attention and how that converged with this subterranean high-stakes conspiracy. A plot designed to facilitate a truly terrifying return to power.
It really is the ultimate case study in distraction, isn't it?
It is.
The entire magical community is focused on, celebrations, seating charts, golden eggs, all this pomp and circumstance.
Yep.
And all the while, this incredibly sophisticated, years-long plot orchestrated by a highly placed imposter is being executed layer by layer right under their noses.
And we've meticulously cataloged all the key moments for you. We're going to look at the introduction of the unforgivable curses, the intricate web of ministry corruption and denial, and, of course, that horrifying climax in the graveyard.
What's essential for you, the listener, to grasp here is how the deep-seated societal flaws,
Oh, absolutely.
prejudice against certain beings, the political infighting, just the sheer arrogance of the elite.
Right.
These things didn't just allow the conspiracy to flourish, they actively accelerated its success.
That's the key. So we aren't just summarizing events here. We are connecting the political architecture to the personal tragedy.
So let's dive right in. The opening sequence. The narrative doesn't ease us in with, cheerful school scenes. It immediately establishes the stakes in the mundane Muggle world, far from any magical protection.
We start in Little Hankleton, at the Riddle House.
And that contrast is so critical.
It is. The sources begin by detailing these unsolved murders of the Riddles, which happened many years prior.
Yeah.
And local suspicion had, conveniently settled on the gardener, Frank Bryce.
The easy target.
The classic easy target, a figure who had already been, marginalized by society.
He was a war veteran, right?
That's right. Someone who had returned from the fighting with a stiff leg, a profound dislike of crowds, and just a general air of being odd.
So it was a textbook case of easy targeting. The local community, down at the Hangman Pub, they found it far easier to pin the crime on the quiet, temperamental outsider than to even consider the possibility of, true magical foul play.
And that's the psychological mechanism of denial at work, isn't it? It's happening in the Muggle world, and it perfectly echoes the denial we're going to see later in the Ministry of Magic.
Right.
But Bryce, even though he's been dismissed by everyone, he was driven by this need for resolution. We learn that his determination leads him back to the house.
He uses an old key, gets in through a back door that's almost swallowed by ivy.
And this one small act of persistence, it puts him face to face with this burgeoning threat.
And what he discovers is it's pure primal horror.
Yeah.
Inside, he hears this cold, hissing voice, and then he sees the snake, this monstrous, gigantic snake Nagini,
At least 12 feet long.
just slithering towards the room where this unseen man and his servant, Wormtail, are plotting.
And the chilling part for Bryce is the realization of the man's power. It's not just the coldness of the voice, it's the fact that he understands the snake.
He can speak its language.
He can. Bryce realizes, with this flash of absolute terror, that the man in the armchair can speak the language of serpent's parcel tongue.
And the conversation he overhears confirms it. This is Lord Voldemort and his servant, Peter Pettigrew, or Wormtail, planning a murder that will kick off the entire resurrection plot.
So we go from this quiet, creeping horror
To absolute slapstick, which is the immediate tonal shift when we get to Harry's extraction from the Dursleys.
It's a huge shift. The Weasley rescue provides essential relief, but it's still fundamentally about the collision of two worlds.
And we have to remember, Harry is only granted access to his school things because the Dursleys are now terrified of his, quote, dangerous, murderous godfather, Sirius Black.
Right. Their fear finally outweighs their hatred of magic, for a little while anyway.
The attempt to retrieve him via the Flu Network it's just a complete mess, because the Dursleys block their fireplace with an electric fire.
And Mr. Weasley, the ministry official whose job it is to prevent the misuse of Muggle artifacts,
He shows up completely captivated by it.
utterly captivated by the eclectic fire and its plug. The irony is It's perfect.
It really highlights the central struggle of the Ministry, doesn't it? They're trying to manage a world they fundamentally do not understand.
At all. And the situation escalates so quickly. Uncle Vernon is bellowing, throwing ornaments,
And Mr. Weasley, getting frustrated, he uses his wand
which is precisely the kind of magical misuse he's supposed to prevent.
to blast a third ornament right out of Vernon's hand.
And then you have the final memorable piece of mischief from Fred and George.
As Harry escapes through the Flu Network, he sees Dudley's tongue just swelling, lolling around like a great slimy python.
A perfect little act of vengeance by the twins that just summarizes the chaos of it all.
And Mr. Weasley's fury back at the Burrow is really revealing. He's raging about wizard-muggle relations, the rules.
As Fred and George are quick to point out, they didn't do it because Dudley was a muggle.
Yeah.
They did it because he was a bullying git.
And Mrs. Weasley quickly steps in to save them from a full lecture. This tension between, obeying the law and standing up for what's right, that's a theme that just permeates this entire deep dive.
Definitely.
So moving from the domestic sphere, we transition to the event that defines wizarding spectacle, the Quidditch World Cup.
And the organizational complexity alone. It must have been a massive effort from the Ministry.
Absolutely massive. The sources describe needing a deserted moor, implementing anti-muggle precautions for over 100,000 wizards.
And to manage that volume, arrivals had to be staggered. The cheaper ticket holders started arriving a full 2 weeks beforehand.
And even with all that planning, the Ministry was just fighting a losing battle against the cultural chasm. We get that great anecdote about old Archie.
Old Archie, yes, who stubbornly wore a flowery nightgown.
Insisting that muggles wear them.
And retorting to the Ministry wizard that he likes a healthy breeze around his privates. Thanks.
Hermione found it hilarious, but it really does underscore how impossible the statute of secrecy is to enforce when you have powerful individuals who are just fundamentally disconnected from the world they're trying to hide from.
Yeah, completely.
So once Harry and the Weasleys get to the top box, the political stratification of the wizarding world is thrown into really sharp relief. It's a literal seating chart of power.
It's not just a box, it's a power map. You see Cornelius Fudge, the Minister for Magic. You see Barty Crouch Sr., this high-ranking, incredibly rigid official whose house elf Winky is saving him a seat.
And of course, the influential Lucius Malfoy. The wealth and class differences are just immediate.
Malfoy uses that moment to publicly attack Mr. Weasley for his poverty. He asks what he had to sell to get seats in the top box.
It's just a vicious piece of social maneuvering. It really highlights how the pure-blood elite view public service as contemptible if it doesn't lead to personal enrichment.
And even more insidious than the class attack is the prejudice. Malfoy's cold gray eyes linger on Hermione.
Right.
And the sources confirm that for the Malfoys, anyone of Muggle descent is viewed with utter contempt. The unspoken use of the slur mudblood is, it's heavily implied in their viewpoint.
And this systemic prejudice is the political ground zero that Voldemort relies on.
Exactly.
But before all the darkness arrives, we get the spectacular mascot displays, which are, they're culturally fascinating.
They really are. On one side, you have the Vila for Bulgaria. Stunningly beautiful women whose dancing has this hypnotic, emotionally disruptive effect.
The boys, Harry and the Weasleys included, were so distracted they had to literally stuff their fingers in their ears. Ron, who was just completely swept away, absent-mindedly shredded his lucky shamrock hat.
Even the referee, Hassan Mostafa, was affected. The sources note him flexing his muscles and trying to send the Vila off the pitch because he was so distracted. It just speaks to the raw, disruptive magic of their glamour.
And then you have the leprechauns for Ireland,
who provided pure, playful chaos, darting about, forming messages like H-A-H-A-J, and showering the pitch with gold.
But here's the crucial detail that this deep dive really focuses on.
The gold.
The gold was later revealed to be vanishing gold. Leprechaun gold.
And this minor detail immediately flags Ludo Bagman and the whole financial side of the Ministry for future scrutiny. It's a key piece of the puzzle.
So the match concludes. Ireland wins. Crumb catches the snitch, but the celebration turns violent almost instantly.
The riot begins. Masked wizards, Death Eaters, seize control of the campsite, and they're showcasing this pure, sadistic abuse of power by levitating a Muggle family 60 feet in the air, just spinning them around.
Which requires immediate intervention from Ministry personnel, the Weasleys included.
And the chaos culminates in the appearance of the Dark Mark. This colossal skull with a serpent coming out of its mouth, conjured high up in the sky with emerald stars.
And this symbol, it hadn't been seen in 13 years. Its appearance causes mass terror and screaming.
The political reaction is immediate and very, very telling. Barty Crouch Sr. arrives, looking disbelieving, but he focuses his intense suspicion immediately on Hermione.
Right, on Hermione.
Demanding to know how she knows the incantation to summon the mark. He targets the Muggle-born girl, automatically assuming guilt, rather than the pure-blood Death Eaters who just fled the scene.
And then the discovery that shifts the focus entirely.
Winky.
Winky, Crouch Sr.'s house elf, is found cowering right beneath the spot where the mark appeared, clutching Harry's misplaced wand.
And she tearfully denies conjuring the mark, saying she was just picking it up. Hermione tries to defend her, pointing out that the voice that cast the spell was much deeper than Winky's squeak.
It was physically impossible for her.
Physically impossible. But justice is irrelevant here.
Completely. Crouch fires Winky on the spot, and his words are so crucial. I have no use for a house elf who disobeys me, who forgets what is due to her master and to her master's reputation.
It reveals everything. His true priority is reputation and absolute control, above all else.
And Percy Weasley, who idolizes Crouch, he defends the firing. He insists that high-ranking officials deserve unswerving obedience.
The system is designed to reward that kind of conformity and ruthlessness.
And Bill explains the Death Eaters' rapid retreat.
Right. They were loyalists who had previously lied to the Ministry to avoid Azkaban, and they feared Voldemort's return. They knew he would punish them for their treachery and their lapsed loyalty.
So the takeaway from this entire opening section is just crystal clear. The wizarding world is riddled with structural weakness.
Deeply. Prejudice, political arrogance, a deeply embedded caste system. It all makes it incredibly vulnerable to the organized chaos we're about to see.
And that vulnerability, it immediately infiltrates Hogwarts.
It does. The fear established at the Quidditch World Cup, it doesn't just dissipate, it becomes a psychological reality for Harry.
He confides in his friends about the intense pain in his scar before the riot, noting it only ever happened when Voldemort was near.
And he connects this pain to a vivid dream he had of Voldemort and Wormtail plotting to kill someone.
The fact that the Dark Mark appeared 3 days later, aligning with Professor Trelawney's much-maligned warning that the thing you dread will indeed come to pass.
Right. It forces Harry to accept that the danger isn't random. It's calculated, and it's closing in. This emotional and physical connection to Voldemort is a key vulnerability that the conspiracy is going to exploit.
And then the tournament preparations bring in international visitors, which adds another layer of distraction and competition.
And the introduction of Beauxbatons and Durmstrang is done with such distinct theatrical flair.
Beauxbatons arise in that magnificent powder blue carriage.
Drawn by enormous flying Abrexons that demand only single malt whiskey.
Of course they do. And the students, wearing these fine silk robes, they're shivering dramatically. It's just a display of ostentatious, sensitive wealth.
And their headmistress, Madame Maxime, is physically imposing. Dumbledore barely had to bend to kiss her hand. We should probably flag this detail now, as the sources later reveal her association with half-giants, a group subjected to immense prejudice.
It underscores that theme of hidden identity.
Exactly. Durmstrang, by contrast, is pure menace.
They emerge from the lake in a ghostly ship.
And their students wear these deep, blood-red robes covered by heavy, matted fur cloaks.
And their headmaster, Igor Karkaroff, looks like a nervous shark. Tall and thin, with this yellow-toothed smile that absolutely doesn't reach his cold, shrewd eyes.
And, of course, they have the star power, Victor Crumb, the Quidditch phenomenon,
who, endearingly, is noted to have a slight head cold.
The rivalry immediately highlights these ideological differences. Durmstrang is openly rumored to emphasize the dark arts. Malfoy even confirms this, proudly mentioning his father considered sending him there because it takes a more sensible line.
So at Durmstrang, you learn the forbidden magic. At Hogwarts, you only learn how to defend against it.
That's the difference, and the sources are clear on the paranoia surrounding their locations. Both schools conceal their whereabouts to prevent secrets from being stolen.
Hermione, citing Hogwarts, a history, confirms that Hogwarts itself is protected. It appears to Muggles as a moldering ruin.
Concealment is the currency of the magical world.
Given the escalating threats, Dumbledore appoints a new defense against the dark arts teacher, and this is where the conspiracy takes physical form. Alastair Mad-Eye Moody.
He is instantly unforgettable. A former Auror, known for filling half of Azkaban. He's defined by his paranoia. He limps heavily on a staff, and his spinning magical eye can see into the back of his head.
He's the embodiment of constant vigilance.
But his vigilance is already being mocked. He was attacked the night before he started, but the ministry official, Amos Diggory, he just dismisses it as typical moody paranoia.
He jokes that if the improper use of magic lot get hold of him, he's had it.
And this immediate dismissal by the authorities, it just confirms how easily a meticulous imposter can hide in plain sight if the establishment already assumes he's eccentric.
And Moody's first lesson is utterly foundational to understanding the horror that drives this entire narrative.
He justifies teaching the 3 illegal curses early. He says a dark wizard won't be nice and polite, so students have to know what they're up against.
Let's break down the sheer brutality of these curses because their significance is profound.
Okay, first the Imperious Curse, Imperio. This grants the user total control over the victim. Moody demonstrates it on a spider, forcing it to somersault and dance.
He does note that it can be fought, but it requires real strength of character.
And this isn't just a spell. It's a psychological weapon that strips away autonomy. The very nature of this conspiracy relies on this curse. We know it was used to control the real Moody and Barty Crouch Sr.
And second, the Cruciatus Curse, Crucio.
This one inflicts excruciating pain without causing any physical damage. Moody demonstrates this, and the sources force us to pause and reflect on the immediate psychological fallout.
Harry immediately notices Neville Longbottom. Neville's hands are clenched, his eyes are wide and horrified.
And we, as informed listeners, we know exactly why this specific curse is so devastating to Neville.
It was used to torture his parents into insanity.
And that moment links the theoretical danger directly to historical trauma. The psychological cruelty of Crucio inflicting maximum suffering while leaving no physical trace. That's what separates dark magic from simple violence. It's about dominance and sadism.
And finally, the Killing Curse, Avada Kedavra.
This one causes instantaneous, unblemished death.
The demonstration on the spider is swift, accompanied by that green flash Harry knows all too well.
He realizes, starkly, that his parents must have died this way, unblemished, simply having life wiped from their bodies.
Moody stresses that using any of the 3 unforgivable curses on a human earns a life sentence in Azkaban. His constant, screaming reminder, constant vigilance, is just the ultimate terrifying irony given who he really is.
It is. And what's fascinating is the calculated nature of the imposter, Barty Crouch Jr. He noticed Neville's reaction to Crucio, and in a later class, he quietly gave him a book on herbology, his best subject.
It's manipulative kindness.
Exactly. It proves how deep the deception went. He was studying his victims and actively building trust.
So the structure of the conspiracy relies on the spectacle of the Triwizard Tournament. Dumbledore tries to safeguard the selection process with an age line around the Goblet of Fire.
Right, to prevent anyone under 17 from entering.
And it's effective. Fred and George, they try to trick the line with an aging potion, and they get hurled back onto the stone floor, sprouting these identical long white beards.
So the magic is robust. But the magic governing the tournament itself is vulnerable to manipulation.
The goblet selects the 3 legal champions, Fleur Delacour, Victor Crumb, and Cedric Diggory. But then
It turns red again.
and selects Harry Potter. We now know this was Crouch Jr.'s work. He used a sophisticated confundus charm to enter Harry's name under a different, non-existent school.
The political fallout is immediate and explosive. Karkaroff and Madame Maxime are furious.
Immediately accusing Hogwarts of cheating, calling the selection most unjust.
They threaten to withdraw their students, forcing officials like Bagman and Crouch Sr. to insist the selection is a binding magical contract.
And this creates instant social division. Ron, Harry's best friend, immediately accuses him of fame-seeking.
Which leads to this bitter, ongoing rift. This isolation is a key tactic of the conspiracy. It strips Harry of his support network.
And the wider school environment turns hostile, specifically Hufflepuff, who are fiercely loyal to their champion, the popular prefect, Cedric Diggory.
And those Potter Stinks badges. They perfectly capture the public consensus that Harry is an arrogant, rule-breaking fame-seeker. The conspiracy is succeeding by using Harry's own fame against him.
While all this drama is unfolding, Hermione initiates her own protest against structural evil, SPEW.
The Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare.
She is fighting for the unpaid, enslaved house elves who handle all the labor at the school.
And this is more than just a running gag. It's a direct critique of the wizarding world's comfort in institutionalized slavery.
Right. Ron and Harry treat it as a joke, which is really indicative of how deeply normalized the exploitation is. Ron, for instance, he rejects the idea of bargaining into that kitchen and trying to make them stop work.
And the house elves themselves illustrate the tragedy of it. Dobby, now free and working at Hogwarts for wages, is overjoyed. He's planning to buy a jumper.
Winky, however, is intensely depressed by her freedom.
She lies face down, screaming and beating her fists, because for her, freedom means dishonor after serving the authoritarian Crouch Sr.
And the sources confirm the depth of their enforced secrecy. House elves are forbidden to speak ill of their masters or reveal their secrets. Winky had hinted that Ludo Bagman was bad, but wouldn't elaborate, suggesting a link between Bagman's financial corruption and Crouch Sr.'s dark past.
So on to the tasks. The first task, dragons, required a lethal threat. The golden egg provides only a whale, so Harry has to be guided.
And this is where we see Crouch Jr.'s sophisticated manipulation at work.
Right. The fake Moody nudges Hagrid into taking Harry into the woods, ensuring Harry sees the 4 massive, vicious dragons, including the deadly Hungarian horntail.
It's plausible deniability. Moody never told Harry directly.
Exactly. And Harry's character shines through here. He immediately relays this crucial information to Cedric out of a sense of fairness.
He insists on an even footing, which contrasts so sharply with the political maneuvering and backstabbing that's surrounding the event.
And his performance is breathtaking. He uses his firebolt, executes the risky Bronski feint, a maneuver he only knew from Wood's wriggling diagrams.
To lure the horntail away and seize the egg. He's successful, he proves his skill, but the entire setup was orchestrated to isolate him and prepare him for the final stage.
And for the second task, the clue remained hidden within that wailing egg.
Cedric returns Harry's favor, advising him to take a bath with the egg.
Which leads to one of the most memorable scenes. Harry in the prefect's bathroom, where Moaning Myrtle spies on him and provides the essential hint. You need to put your head under, too.
Submerging the egg reveals the merpeople's cryptic song, detailing that they've taken what he'll sorely miss and that he has an hour long to search.
The missing item, of course, being Ron.
But time is running out, and Harry is without a solution until Dobby intervenes.
And this intervention, too, was engineered by Crouch Jr. We learn later that the fake Moody staged a loud conversation with Professor McGonagall about gillyweed, knowing Dobby would be listening.
And would steal the item from Snape's stores out of loyalty to Harry. The level of planning is it's stunning.
Underwater, Harry finds the hostages. Ron, Hermione, Fleur's younger sister, and Cho Chang. The mermen try to enforce the rules, take only your own. But Harry.
He demonstrates what Dumbledore later calls moral fiber. He refuses to abandon Fleur's sister.
He insists on saving them both, using his wand to force the merman back as he cuts the ropes. This act of altruism, forcing him to leave late, is the ultimate display of his moral compass.
Contrasting with the ruthless ambition of the tournament.
And Dumbledore recognizes this nobility. Harry is late, but Dumbledore awards him 45 points, specifically for his moral fiber, placing him in a tie for first place with Cedric.
So the conspiracy ensures Harry remains in the lead, but his noble behavior makes the rise seem deserved, hiding the manipulation.
Exactly.
As we move toward the climax, the conspiracy's tentacles spread, involving more characters and public figures and revealing deeper corruption.
Rita Skeeter becomes the weapon of choice for character assassination.
She publishes a devastating article about Hagrid, calling him a dangerous half-giant and just leveraging all that existing public prejudice against non-humans.
She even fabricated evidence, claiming an incident with a flobberworm, which is absurd since flobberworms have no teeth.
This causes Hagrid to retreat into his cabin, just distressed by the societal judgment.
And Dumbledore intervenes, urging him to return to teaching and explicitly emphasizing that he welcomes people regardless of blood status, a clear ethical stand against the political current represented by Skeeter and Malfoy.
We also see the financial corruption surrounding Ludo Bagman.
Right. Harry, under his invisibility cloak, witnesses Bagman arguing nervously with goblins at the Three Broomsticks.
And Ron confirms the earlier suspicions. Bagman paid the twins in vanishing leprechaun gold for their World Cup bet.
Which confirms he's deeply in debt and possibly compromised.
Bagman is also suspiciously concerned about Bertha Jorkins, the ministry official who vanished in Albania after meeting her cousin. This concern, which is dismissed by others as just another strange ministry disappearance.
It's a vital breadcrumb. It points to the true scope of the plot.
The sources then take us into the past, providing crucial context for the conspiracy.
Harry accidentally falls into Dumbledore's pensive, witnessing ministry trials from decades prior. This reveals the origins of the current trauma.
The first trial is Igor Karkaroff.
Tightly bound and terrified of the Dementors, Karkaroff turns informant, betraying his former comrades. Antonin Dolohov, Travers, Mulciber, and crucially Rookwood.
A spy inside the Ministry, providing intelligence to Voldemort.
This is Karkaroff's shameful secret, the deal he made to escape Azkaban.
But the truly devastating memory is the conviction of Barty Crouch Jr.
4 Death Eaters are brought in, including a woman we know as Bellatrix Lestrange, a thick-set man, a nervous man, and a young, terrified Barty Crouch Jr.
They're accused of torturing Aurors Frank and Alice Longbottom with the Cruciatus Curse.
And Barty Crouch Sr. presides over the trial. The sources note he sentences his own son to life in Azkaban with pure hatred.
It shows the depths of Crouch Sr.'s rigid, unforgiving sense of public morality. The boy's mother weeps nearby while Bellatrix Lestrange swears that the Dark Lord will rise and reward their fidelity.
This fanatical loyalty of Crouch Jr. is the engine of the entire plot.
The pensive reveals are essential because they show us that the character's currently acting Karkaroff, who's panicking because his arm is showing a darkening mark, and Barty Crouch Sr., whose son is now impersonating his colleague. They're all deeply connected to the past war, trying to escape its consequences while being dragged back into it.
And that brings us to the third task, the maze. This is the final stage of the deception.
Inside the maze, Krum, now fully under the Imperious Curse, attacks Cedric. Harry intervenes, neutralizing Krum with Stupefy.
So Harry and Cedric, now working together, face a giant acromantula before finally reaching the center.
And here, the nobility of the two champions is highlighted again. Cedric, remembering Harry's fairness with the dragon clue, insists Harry take the cup alone.
But Harry suggests they take it together.
That simple agreement touching the Triwizard Cup is the trigger.
They are instantly transported to the graveyard of the riddles. The plot culminates in horrifying brutality. Cedric is murdered instantly by Wormtail on Voldemort's command.
The sources note the death is immediate and unblemished. It mirrors the Avada Kedavra demonstration perfectly. The spectacle of the tournament is just annihilated by cold, calculating reality.
Wormtail then performs the dark ritual to resurrect Voldemort. And this ritual is deeply symbolic, requiring 3 specific components.
1. Bone of the Father, taken unwittingly from the grave.
2. Flesh of the Servant, which requires Wormtail to cut off his own hand, sacrificing his body for his master.
And 3. Blood of the Enemy, which is Harry's blood, forcibly taken via a dagger. The use of Harry's blood is so crucial as it provides Voldemort with the protection Harry's mother had given him.
And Voldemort is resurrected, whole and healthy, and he summons his loyal Death Eaters.
He chastises them for their lack of faith, for believing him gone, for returning to their daily lives after his fall. This confirms the prediction Bill Weasley made about their treachery.
A duel is forced upon Harry. Their wands, containing feathers from the same phoenix, connect, triggering the unique Priori Incantatem effect.
This magical connection forces Voldemort's wand to regurgitate the echoes of his last victims in reverse order.
And this moment is so significant, psychologically and narratively. It doesn't just provide a list of victims. It forces Voldemort and the Death Eaters to witness the undeniable proof of his crimes.
The echoes appear. First, Cedric Diggory, proving the murder from just minutes prior.
Second, Frank Bryce, the old Muggle gardener from the opening scene, confirming Voldemort's use of the Riddle House.
And third, Bertha Jorkins, confirming the Ministry official's mysterious disappearance was a result of torture.
This single event connects every seemingly random thread of the conspiracy into one undeniable truth.
So Harry is rushed back with Cedric's body, and Dumbledore, immediately recognizing the danger, ensures Harry is taken to Moody's office for security.
He's setting the stage for the final world-shattering reveal.
And Dumbledore's suspicions were correct. The Moody in the office is actually Barty Crouch Jr., who, held under Veritaserum, confesses the entire meticulous master plan.
The real Moody had been locked in a magical trunk in the office for months.
And the details of the Azkaban escape, they're truly astonishing. They speak to the fanatical loyalty within the Crouch family.
Crouch Jr.'s dying mother, the weeping woman from the trial, she swapped places with him in Azkaban with his father's help.
Using Polyjuice Potion and the Imperious Curse to ensure the son could be controlled once he was hidden back at home.
The plot was put into high gear when Voldemort found Bertha Jorkins in Albania. He tortured her to break the powerful memory charm that Crouch Sr. had placed on her.
And why the memory charm?
Because Crouch Sr. was desperate to hide the fact that his son had escaped. Torturing Jorkins revealed the son was alive and hidden.
Crouch Jr. details the final horrific step. He murdered his own father, who had escaped the Imperious Curse and was heading to Hogwarts to confess the whole secret to Dumbledore.
And then, the detailed mechanics of the imposter. Crouch Jr. used Moody's reputation, his magical eye, and his own intense paranoid vigilance to ensure Harry won the tournament.
He placed Harry's name in the goblet, entered under a fourth school, and subtly guided Harry through the tasks without ever appearing to break the rules.
He confirms all the subtle manipulations we discussed, nudging Hagrid to show the dragons, instructing Cedric on the egg clue.
And critically, staging that loud conversation about gillyweed, knowing Dobby would steal it.
This conspiracy required not just dark magic, but a comprehensive understanding of human nature and political structure.
The conspiracy succeeded because the imposter, an expert in dark magic detection, was the last person anyone would suspect.
And because the political system was paralyzed by self-interest and denial. Which brings us to the most crucial analytical moment of this deep dive. Cornelius Fudge's reaction.
Fudge arrives and utterly refuses to accept the truth.
Not just of Voldemort's return, but of Crouch Jr.'s confession. He immediately accuses Dumbledore of trying to start a panic.
This isn't just disbelief, it's a calculated political maneuver.
He uses the tools of public opinion against the truth. He cites Rita Skeeter's damaging articles, labeling Harry as disturbed and dangerous because of his parcel-tongue ability and his funny turns.
The scar pains and dreams. He is actively trying to discredit the witnesses and the evidence to maintain the illusion of stability.
He even refuses to believe the confession of Crouch Jr., who is, ironically, being guarded by a Dementor.
And Fudge rejects Dumbledore's essential first political step, removing Azkaban from Dementor control.
And this is where we really analyze Fudge's true motivation. He argues chillingly that Voldemort can offer the Dementors much more scope for their powers and their pleasures than the Ministry can.
So he knows the Dementors are inherently unstable and corruptible.
He does. And he fears that losing control of Azkaban will lead to political instability and panic, which, in his mind, is worse than a covert return of the Dark Lord. His priority is political survival and the status quo, even if it means lying to the public.
So Dumbledore, understanding that the political establishment has officially failed, acts in secret.
He immediately organizes resistance, instructing Sirius Black, now confirmed to the Weasleys and Hermione as an innocent animus, to alert the old crowd.
This old crowd, it includes Remus Lupin, Arabella Figg, and Mundungus Fletcher. This is the birth of the resistance, built on trust and a shared, denied truth, operating entirely outside official channels.
Harry gets his own moment of closure and generosity. He takes his Triwizard winnings, a sack of 1,000 galleons,
and gives the entire sum to Fred and George.
He instructs them to start their joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, as a way to make up for the fact that Bagman had paid them in vanishing leprechaun gold.
This act, it doesn't just rectify Bagman's treachery, it symbolically funds the joy and ingenuity that stand in direct opposition to the darkness.
The final source materials then set up the terrifying new normal. Harry is forced back into isolation at the Dursleys, receiving only vague letters from Ron and Hermione, who've been ordered not to share important news.
He suffers recurring nightmares of the graveyard and dark corridors.
And this isolation is violently shattered when he and Dudley are attacked by two Dementors while walking alone in Little Whinging.
He's forced to use the Patronus charm, which makes a loud, cracking noise, a clear violation of the Statute of Secrecy.
And the attack confirms two things. The Dementors are no longer loyal to the Ministry, and the line between the Wizarding and Muggle world has been breached. The political denial has already resulted in deadly consequences right on the streets of the Muggle world.
Confirmed by the appearance of the batty old neighbor, Mrs. Figg, who is actually part of Dumbledore's old crowd.
So this deep dive has revealed the sheer complexity of a conspiracy that succeeded not through brute force, but through meticulous, years-long manipulation.
It exploited every existing crack in the foundation of the wizarding world.
Exactly. Barty Crouch Jr. was able to execute his plan flawlessly because his actions, however suspicious, were continually rationalized, dismissed, or masked by the surrounding spectacle and political arrogance.
The systemic prejudice, from Malfoy's classism to Fudge's absolute refusal to face the truth, it created the perfect environment for deceit to flourish.
We've seen the horrifying climax in the graveyard, the undeniable magical truth revealed by Priori Incantatem, and the immediate, calculated political denial that followed.
Dumbledore is assembling his resistance based on knowledge and loyalty, while Fudge is determined to maintain the comforting illusion of peace, even as the instruments of the Dark Lord the Dementors are attacking children.
Which leaves us with a truly provocative thought that builds on everything we've covered today.
Given that the Ministry is now dismissing the truth and Dementors are actively targeting individuals in the Muggle world, the question is, who truly holds the real power in the world right now? Is it those who possess the truth and are preparing for an inevitable war? Or is it those who control public information and are determined at all costs to maintain the illusion of peace? That is the battleground moving forward.